Alright, so today is the video for the Moondrop Alice. Yes, a long time coming, and today we'll be comparing it to the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro and also the Moondrop Kato. Hey friends, Tim here, welcome back to a video on Giz Audio. Today we have the Moondrop Alice review, of course. Now before we jump into the sound and the comparisons, let's first talk about all the things that I personally don't like about the Alice, and most of them, if not all of them, having to do with the user experience. The Alice does not a great job, especially in comparison to Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro or the other top brands out there. Definitely not up to standard of what people expect from a TWS anyways. So let's touch on all of those cons, shall we? Con number one, the app. Let's first start off with getting a Moondrop app in general. So if you download a version from the Google Play Store or maybe even the Apple Play Store, you'll get a different version than the one you actually need to work with the Alice. To get the correct version, you have to download the app from the Moondrop website itself. Why don't they just have the same version of the app on Google Play Store and on the website? I have no idea. But if you download the app from the Google Play Store and you're wondering where all the functionalities are, where all the EQs are, well, you just have the wrong app. Also inside the app, it's not really the most user-friendly experience out there. Sometimes even when my Alice is connected to my phone, the app doesn't recognize that the Alice is connected. Or when I try to apply some EQ or do anything with the app, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't register that I'm trying to do something. On top of that, when you try to update the app, sometimes it updates, sometimes it just pauses and doesn't want to update. So Moondrop, whatever you're doing with the app, please figure it out. It is a big part of the TWS experience. Sound quality is not the only thing when people are buying TWS. We'll touch on sound quality later, which is, by the way, fantastic. They did a great job with that. But again, it's really not the only thing when people are buying TWS. The user experience needs to be top-notch as well. Now, speaking of user experience, con number two, the size. This case is really big. Not only that, when you open, it's kind of hard to grab out the Alice. Oh, sometimes I can do it first try. Most of the times I can't, and it slips through my fingers. And I don't really have big hands or big fingers either. Now, for those of you who have smaller hands, you guys might not have a problem with this. But if you happen to have bigger than average hands or average hand size, you're not gonna be able to reliably grab the Alice out the first time. I find myself having to, do that to get the Alice out at times. And also, again, the size, this thing is too big. It cannot fit in your pocket. It has to go in your bag. If it goes in your pocket, it's gonna look very bulgy, or it's just another big item to carry around with you. This needs to be fixed as well. Con number three, most of the EQ presets really suck. Not to knock on Moondrop, of course, because those are optional things. They exist. You don't have to use them if you don't like them. But the only three tuning that I recommend you guys use are the Moondrop target, the in-ear target, and also the pre-EQ target. Just those three I would deem as audiophile-ish level of tuning, which is surprisingly very, very good. Better than the Moondrop Kato. Yes, I'm spoiling this review already. I prefer the tuning of the Alice more than the Kato. We'll touch more on this later. But yeah, con number three, there's a lot of EQ presets, yes, but most of them are bad. Con number four, noise floor. Now, this is not an exclusive Moondrop Alice problem. It's a problem with TWS in general, is that the noise floor is gonna be there, and the Moondrop Alice also has that. Now, with all of that being said, let's finally get into the sound performance of the Alice. My favorite tuning out of the three on the Alice is the in-ear target. I find that to be the most balanced, has just the right amount of bass to balance out the kind of aggressive upper mid-range. The pre-EQ target is a little bit too bassy for me, but still very good for those of you who want a little bit extra fun. The Moondrop target is for those of you who want a lot less bass, more referencey style of signature, if you will. It's much tamer in the upper mids as well. So a more referencey style of listening, maybe a touch more relaxing than the other two tuning. Still good. Now, like I said before, the Alice's tuning is preferred over the Kato for my personal preference. The Kato, I always find it a little bit too warm for me. The Alice is just right. It has a bass shelf at I think around below 200 or even below 150 Hertz. I'll leave the graph on screen for you guys right now. But the bass shelf is perfect. It gives the vocalist or the mid-range instruments this clean separation from the bass instruments. And also, female vocals are very lively. They're forward. They might be too lively for some of you guys out there. And the treble might be a little bit spicy for some of you guys out there as well. But for me, I find them to be very pleasing to listen to, and again, much preferred over the Moondrop Kato's more warmer / tamer signature. Also, treble extension wise, I find the Alice to be more smooth than the Kato, not by too much, but it is noticeable. Now, when it comes to the con of the tuning, like I said before, the treble might be a little bit too spicy, the upper mid-range might be a little bit too forward. For some of you guys out there, depends on your taste. But I would say the biggest con of the style of tuning that this has is that it might come across a little bit on the thin side. Like the vocals don't feel as full as they can be. They're lively, they're forward, yes, but they lack a little bit of meat or heft due to how the upper mid-range is done, the gain area, and also the tamer amount of mid-bass that the Alice has across all three tunings. Next is technical performance. Bring up my scale right here. I would put the Moondrop Alice right in between the Starfield and the Timeless. Falls a little bit short of the Timeless, especially when it comes to note definition. Soundstage wise, I would say the Alice actually does a pretty good job. There's clear separation between the vocalist and the bass instruments, so the staging overall comes across very clean and again, well separated, well defined. And last but not least, we have the comparison to the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, my current favorite TWS right now. Let's take a look at the size differences. As you can see, you can fit about 1.5 Galaxy Buds into a Moondrop Alice case. And this way as well, the Buds 2 Pro, much smaller, much more realistic and user-friendly. Now, when it comes to just sound performance, which tuning do I prefer? For me, I prefer the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro slightly over the Alice. Now, they both have their own strengths and weaknesses. The Galaxy Buds 2 Pro has better timbre to me. The upper mid-range and the treble is not so aggressive, and it's also smoother there as well. So timbre-wise, it's more natural on the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Now, the Alice vocals sounds fuller than on the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. This sounds a little bit thin. The bass is relatively similar. I do feel that the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro does bass slightly bit better, but only by like a small margins. Between the two, if I were to pick one just for purely sound, the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro still edges out the Alice. In terms of user interface, usability, user experience, the Samsung wins 10 times out of 10. One more thing that I forgot to touch on is the Moondrop Alice's version of spatial audio. I guess they call it the VSDF or something like that. That I really didn't like at all. It sounds like the vocals were boosted and the bass frequencies are reduced and the vocals are not really that even either. The imaging on it was very strange. I couldn't tell what was going on with it, but it just overall wasn't that great. So with all of that being said, what's my final score for the Moondrop Alice? I would say the Alice gets a yellow thumbs. I mean, there's good qualities about it, like the sound is good, but the user interface, the build, the size, there are way too many cons that goes into a TWS that makes me personally not really wanting to use it. But if you want to get the Alice just for sound quality alone, like you're not planning to use it as a regular daily TWS, you just want to use it at your desk for sound quality, then sure, it's a good IEM, and for $200 it has sound quality that matches the price or competes around the same price bracket. So hence the yellow thumb. It's good, but also has some terrible qualities at the same time. As a usable TWS, I still much prefer the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. The sound on it is also slightly better for me than the Alice as well, and the user interface is infinitely better. If you want to get a TWS that's more complete, the Buds 2 Pro is still the way to go. And with that being said, I'd like to thank my Patreon subscribers. We have Kai, Chadwick, Suni Roll, Norm, and of course, Mr. Mason. Thank you so much for the support. If you want to support the channel yourself, link to Patreon is down below. Many good perks there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Bye.